Blast targeting a school in Afghanistan kills at least 55 and 150 injured. Commuters decry drivers' increment of fares amid Eid preparations. U.S. announces support for COVID-19 vaccine intellectual property waiver. This and more coming on this week's newscast. Hello, you're watching this week's newscast with me, Mariama Cham, and thanks for joining us. Now, at least 55 people were killed and more than 150 others injured in an explosion outside a high school for girls in Kabul on Saturday. Staff at Muhammad Ali Inna Hospital attended patients on the floor in the aftermath of the explosion as bodies covered in blankets lined the corridors. Fatmata Kasim tells us more.
According to local reports, the blast included at least one car bomb and took place outside Shahid al-Shuhada High School on Saturday afternoon, killing dozens of teenage girls. So far, no party has claimed responsibility for the attack. Taliban spokesperson Zabihullah Mujahid has denied responsibility in the attack in a message to the media. However, about 25 students were later buried at a cemetery in Kabul on Saturday, a day after the blast. Mourners were seen carrying coffins and digging graveyards at a hilltop graveyard known as Matthias Cemetery, where victims of attack against the Shia Hazara community are buried. More than 150 people were injured in the attack. Reports from Kabul said the city was busy with shoppers ahead of this year's celebration for Eid al-Fitr next week. The neighborhood in western Kabul, where the blast occurred, in a home to many from the Hazarat minority community who are of Mongolian and Central Asian descent, are mainly Shia Muslims. Analysts say so many places in Afghanistan have endured so many pain, but the Dashir-Bashir neighborhood in Kabul has suffered horrendously. The neighborhood is populated by members of the Afghanistan's Hazara ethnic minority. As followers of Shia Islam, the Islamic State group views them as heretic and has carried out a vicious campaign attacking the softest of targets. Dozens have been killed in bombing and sport halls, cultural centers, and places of education in particular. No one has admitted carrying out the attack in Dash-e-Bashir, an area often hit by Sunni Islamist militants. However, Afghan government officially blamed Taliban militants for the attack, but the group denied any involvement. For iAfrica News, I am Fatoumata Kasim.
Now, commuters of the Serekunda market have decried a move by the drivers in the country to increase the transport fares as preparations for Eid al-Fitr are in high gear. The unsatisfied road users have also slammed the traffic congestion in the Serekunda area, especially during the corridor preparations. Binda Fati tells us more.
The unlawful increment of fares has been ongoing for a long time, with the corridor preparations making matters worse as more people come to the open markets to buy articles for the Eid. Fatmata Keita, a native of New Yundum, says he pays almost $200 to get home.
Transportation in the Gambia here is too critical. Today we want to pay $200 is almost when coming from Yundum to Serekunda. Serekunda to Yundum, you pay about $75 or so. This is simply because vehicles don't really want to reach their various destinations. They will charge you money. This is how they will do this is. An apprentice will come and tell you, I'm going to Latrikunda, charge you. Latrikunda, Tabokoto, they will charge you. Tabokoto, Serekunda, and some of them, they will not even reach the garage. This is very sad indeed. I think the government should look into this.
Ibrahim Ajaju, a native of Kasama, Senegal, is of the view that the drivers take advantage of the festive period to increase fares, which he strongly condemns.
I came here, but honest to God, the fare is kind of expensive. From here to Brikama, they are charging you $50. You know that is expensive. They are taking advantage of the fees, I can say. to increase the fares, and that is wrong. Normally, they should help people because of the fasting. There are too many expenses, there is no money, and they know that the coronavirus affects lives. They should leave this and reason. Let them reduce the fares and help people, for God's sake. Here, life is so expensive.
While the public described the actions of drivers as unjustifiable, Asanjan, a driver from Medina Serimas, blamed the situation on the traffic and poor roads in the country, calling on the government to help reconstruct the roads for the benefit of all.
So problem bi buñ ko fogg ne ci driver yi la. Driver bi mu ngay xol nan la mëna def nit ñi mënu ñoo ñaka dem.
Let's not think the problem is the drivers alone. People will have to travel, and the drivers cannot afford not walking. The drivers will see how he can walk and earn profit and give something to the owner of the vehicle, and for the vehicle to last longer. For instance, if you were going to Brikama in the past, if you were to spend 1 hour, now you will be spending 1 hour 30 minutes or 2 hours. So the driver will be thinking of all this to ensure that he has profit. Usually, customers will only see it as just going, but no matter how difficult it may be, the driver has no right for you to alight. He will have to take you to the agreed destination because you are paying him if he were using 1 liter of fuel. He might be using 3 liters. The government should help us with roads. That is the only problem. If we don't have another highway, let them reconstruct the ones in town so that we can walk fast and our vehicles will not be spoiled.
Increment of fares by drivers supposedly due to the poor roads leading up to traffic congestions force commuters to pay multiple fares or risk being stranded on the streets or garages for hours without a vehicle. For Africa TV News, I am Pinta Fati.
Now, the Gambia Red Cross Society has commemorated the World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day on the theme being unstoppable. The humanitarian organization held a press conference to ponder on challenges and successes during the COVID-19 pandemic. Binta Jallo files in this report.
The 8th May of every year is known as the World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day in honor of Henry Donant, the founder of the global first aid body. The occasion is also marked to celebrate the principles, history, values, and impact of the international movement. On this day, people pay tribute to members and volunteers of the organization who contribute to humanitarian work across the world. At national level, the president of the Gambia Red Cross Society, Jato Silla, underscored the significance of the day.
It is a day meant to inspire, facilitate, and also promote all humanitarian activities that are carried out by the Red Cross movement. This is a day when members of the International Red Cross movement raise the need in assisting suffering people. This is the day people are reminded of the need of protecting their lives, as well as the dignity of the victims of any armed conflicts and all situations of violence.
With the COVID-19 pandemic causing challenging impacts across the globe, the Gambia Red Cross was not left behind in the militarization of the virus. The Secretary General of the Gambia Red Cross Society, Alassane Senghor, highlighted some of the achievements recorded during the pandemic.
We have increased the capacities of our volunteers, I think, and staff. They've learned a lot during the process. We have also increased the fleet of our ambulances. From 2 when we started, we have 9 now. We have also increased the fleet of our response vehicles to be able to respond adequately, because we know during the peak of the COVID, we suffered a lot because we did not have the right equipment and vehicles to respond, especially when everything was down. But today, we are more prepared and better organized to respond. Let's hope nothing happens, but if it happens, we are more than prepared.
Following the First World War, the tradition to celebrate an annual Red Cross Day was established. It was then known as the Red Cross Truce. The day is significant as it celebrates the spirit of the volunteerism in the provision of medical help to everyone without any discrimination. During wars and epidemics, the Red Cross Society not only provides people with health care, but also with other forms of humanitarian assistance. For iAfrica News, Binta Jallo.
The standard bearer and national president of All People's Party, Gumbo Cham, says the Gambia is reversing in development instead of moving forward. Cham, who made the remarks while highlighting the blueprint of his party, adds that the country must progress in the area of development. Binta Fati has the rest of that.
The political trajectory of the Gambia has been changing with the formation and registration of numerous political parties in the country, and the All People's Party adding to the list of recently registered parties. Speaking to journalists at the welcoming of their party leader, the national president of APP, Gumbo Cham, said the Gambia is not moving forward as far as development is concerned.
We believe that time has come, that new ideas have to come in. We believe the time has come that new, better results have to be achieved. And we believe that we must go forward. As Dr. Jan has said, we've been reversing. We've been reversing in development. We must be progressing in development, not reversing, going backwards.
Cham further added that it is high time to address the nation's health issues.
Imagine today, many times we hear that somebody is ill, somebody is flown to Dakar. Somebody is ill, somebody is being taken to Dakar. Is it not high time that this country develops its medical facilities to be up to date so that we don't have to ferry people to Dakar? Here we have a medical doctor. Baibran Jan is a medical doctor. Perhaps you need to know that he was the first one to set up Lamin Clinic. And then he decided to offer his services, his medicines, free of charge, voluntary.
According to the national president, the party has formed its executive and is working on building their regional offices and party bases within the urban areas. He also noted that the party will look within itself for funding to ensure participation in the 2021 presidential elections, and that they are equally set to evaluate issues in the country to document their political ideology. For iAfrica TV News, I am Binta Fati.
Well, that report by Binta Fati on APP will take us to a quick break, and we'll be right back with the rest of the news on this week newscast. Stay with us.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put into constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
Welcome back, and still on this week newscast. The United States has announced a support for a temporary waiver of intellectual property protection for COVID-19 vaccine to assist in equitable distribution of vaccines. WHO boss described the move as a significant solidarity and support, urging other countries to follow the example set by the U.S. Daisy reports.
The idea of waiver came following two nations, South Africa and India, have suffered greatly in tackling the second wave of the pandemic. The initiative by the United States is welcomed by WHO and African nations. It will allow production of vaccines to be ramped up and provide more affordable doses for less wealthy countries if approved. The WHO's director, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, described the move as important in supporting their distribution of vaccines.
Wednesday's announcement by the United States of America that it will support a temporary waiver of intellectual property protections for COVID-19 vaccines is a significant statement of solidarity and support for vaccine equity. I know that this is not a politically easy thing to do, so I very much appreciate the leadership of the United States, and we urge other countries to follow their example.
Countries like India and South Africa are experiencing the worst form of the pandemic. As a result, Dr. Tedros urges member states to support technology transfer.
We are in an unprecedented crisis that requires unprecedented action. Cases are at a record high. Almost 100,000 people are dying globally each week. And we have a chronic vaccine crisis. The World Trade Organization provisions for IP waivers were designed precisely for a situation like this. If we don't use them now, then when? It's also important to remember that intellectual property waivers will need to be accompanied by transfer of technology and know-how for this difficult-to-make vaccines. We continue to encourage all member states to support technology transfers through CTAP, the COVID-19 Technology Access Pool.
Executive Director of WHO's Emergencies Program said in order to avoid other countries experiencing the same situation happening in India, urgent and strategic action needs to be taken.
And some countries now are at such a rate of infection that their health systems are back under severe pressure. We've seen the tragedy in India. We need to avoid that same tragedy occurring in other countries, and some other countries are heading in that direction. And we need to take action. We need to take the heat out. This pandemic is global, but this pandemic is acting very differently in different countries. Each country is having a unique experience, and I would advise every country to look at their data now and see where you are. Look at where you are in this fight, and some of you are not in a good place.
In October 2020, India and South Africa requested a waiver that will allow countries to neither grant nor enforce patent and other specific intellectual property rights related to COVID-19 products until global herd immunity is achieved. For African News, Sohna Tunkara.
Now the newest name among about 20 connected with interest to become next president of the Gambia is Alhaji Mamadi Kurang, who doesn't need a political party over independent candidature. Speaking to iAfrica TV, Mr. Kurang says the common call for system change for the country needs the intervention to produce a mass educational elite. Our candidate Seka files in this report.
As the race for the seat of the presidency in December 2021 is 7 months away, at least 19 political parties are intact, almost doubling of the number from the last general election during the same period in 2016. Gambian electorates are unfamiliar with choosing from dozen political parties during presidential elections, as they have only had to make choices among about 5 options. This time, in addition to the registered political parties, up to 4 independent presidential candidates have made up their minds for the country's top job. Alhaji Mamadi Kurang, who recently announced his intention of joining the presidency race, is relying on mass education policy to bring about rapid development.
You see, when you want to develop a country, you don't have to invent your own formula. What you need to do is to look at formulas that have worked in other smaller and bigger countries, and then bring that formula. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, and bring that formula to your country. No country in this world has been able to achieve rapid and mass development without rapid and mass education. And as a teacher, I can tell you that our plan is to develop this country through, first of all, rapid, mass, democratize the education system, make it easy and accessible.
Given the limited time to the elections, Mr. Kurang said the number of candidates does not limit his chance of winning because Gambia needs a reformer, and a reformer is found in him, despite being new in the limelight.
I think we want to redefine the debate before December 4th. What we want to tell people is that we have elected a president in 2016. And after we come out of the 2016 election, everybody asking, who is he? Who is he? Until today, they are asking, who is he? The Gambians don't want the who is he question to happen again. So people are asking, whoever put your name to be president, it doesn't matter how many names are there, we must keep asking, who is he? Americans say, what have you done before you contest for the presidency? So the question, the debate we're trying to redefine in this country is, what have you done?
Mamadi Kurang called on his fellow citizens to elect someone who would work towards the betterment of their country.
I think the December 2021 election is about the next 10 years until 2031. So I think Gambians have to make a good choice to put in somebody whose track record matches his words and somebody who has the vision to take this country to a better place in the next 10 years.
The aspiring presidential candidate is an educationist with more than 25 years of experience. He is the founder and chief executive officer of Jollof Tutors. In 2013, he was awarded to train the public service, accountant, and university students for the government of Liberia in preparation for professional exams. He served as a consultant for the United States through the Government Economic Management Support Program. In June 2017, he was appointed as the secretary to the Journey Commission by the government under President Adama Barrow to investigate financial management of APRC ruler Yahya Jammeh. Khadijatu Seka, Africa News.
Well, the report on the newest name among about 20 connected to interest to become the next president of the Gambia, Alhaji Mamadi Kurang, brings us to the end of this week's newscast. I am Mariama Cham. Thanks for watching and do have a blessed week ahead.